I mean, I think I've found Tower of London. Something gives it away. But, more importantly, the sprinkler system. Last time I was here, this didn't have grass. It was still in the process of getting grass put down after they tore everything out for the display with the poppies on that tower over there.
Yeah.
Oh look, it's a shot. Kind of want to see what the view's like from the top of there. Can't remember if you have to pay to do that though. Yeah, I thought you did. So you still haven't answered, Penny. What? How exactly are we going to steal crown jewels? We're not gonna. You're telling me here, right now, we are not stealing the crown jewels.
We're not stealing the crown jewels, of course.
Sweet, we now have an alibi. We have now said that we're not doing it.
What?
We have video proof of us saying that we weren't going to do it. Hey, look, it's a rook. You need to go collect the tickets.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we got tickets. Got a map. You look so happy with your map.
What's going on in the tower?
I don't know what is going on in the tower.
Digital missions.
And the ravens, also known as the rooks. See, I told you we could get into some Assassin's Creed Syndicate level stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan right now. Let's get in.
Yeah,
Sweet. Hey, look, a little shop. Well, yeah, that's definitely not an atlatl. We're in the wrong part of the world for the atlatl.
Okay, I don't know that.
Pretty sure it's basically similar to trebuchet catapult, but I'm pretty sure it's more of a South American thing. I need to fact check that, but
Yeah, it sounds.
see, YouTube teaches you all sorts of stuff.
No, said it didn't.
Watching the Yogscast play Gmod. That's all I need. Hey Penny, does that wall look familiar? That wall, right there. And this area actually.
Yeah.
Like, actually, because I haven't been here in a long time. And not to bore myself later and anyone who watches this with all the Assassin's Creed references, but they did a good job. But yeah, no, I still fully remember that first attempt on doing a mission that was escaping from Tower of London.
Yeah.
And I remember it just not working and you getting stuck literally in that hole there where those prams are.
Yes.
You got stuck there and ziplined and yeah, you got shot there and bumped your head on that archway.
Well, it wasn't even on my head. I got shot. I was ziplining up and got shot at the wall. And this got stuck. But I was going up the pillar. I basically got stuck on a collision.
It was entertaining to watch, I'll say that.
It was frustrating to play.
She's about to start ringing a bell and saying shame.
Ooh, nice.
What have we found?
So the ticket, which is the one for including the garden,
Yeah.
is obviously the staterooms, which includes the Royal Gifts exhibition, a special display in the music room that's a tribute to Diana, and the multimedia guide.
That's cool.
And the guided tour of the gardens.
That's cool.
And for you it will be £30.50, and for me it's £32.
Sweet.
So that's actually not bad.
Well, under the rules of I'm doing food, you're doing entertainment.
I will book these.
Sweet. Well, that means that we've got Buckingham Palace to look forward to tomorrow.
We are having a very royal weekend.
I thought that was actually a real raven up there. So it turns out that that's one of the things that you have to book way in advance.
Alright. No, I'm sad.
So am I actually. That would have been really cool. I mean, Penny, this view. Oh, they are beautiful creatures.
Now behind me we have the Bell Tower. This is built during the reign of King Richard the Lionheart, and its name comes from the belfry on the top. It currently contains the oldest surviving curfew bell in London, dated from 1651. But this bell, if it was rung as a warning, it would allow the gates to be locked and secured. Unfortunately, it was also rung 1 hour before every execution. Now, the bell tower, it is the oldest, it is the strongest of the 13 towers that surround the inner defensive wall, and it consists of only 2 chambers. There's one on top of each other. But very unusually, there is no interconnecting spiral staircase. 2 separate entrances via the Queen's house, and that sits just behind this wall. But some very important prisoners were held within its walls. One such prisoner, a man for all seasons, Sir Thomas More. Imprisoned by King Henry VIII because he refused to recognise Henry as the head of the newly formed Church of England, the Anglican Church. Now, up until then, Thomas More had been the Lord Chancellor. That is one of the most important positions in the country. But when Henry broke away from the Roman Catholic Church, that was completely unacceptable to Thomas More because he was a devout Catholic. So he resigned his position, planned to retire. But Henry, well, he had other ideas. He felt that he needed support from important men like Thomas More, and he tried to persuade him otherwise. But Thomas refused. So Henry tried a little bit harder, and that included locking him up at the tower. Now, at first he was actually quite well treated. He was given good food and fine clothes, books and writing materials. He was allowed family visits, and he had servants to look after him. But as time went by, Henry withdrew these privileges one by one, until after nearly 15 months, Thomas More was in here with only the clothes upon his back. It was then that King Henry VIII conceded defeat, because if he couldn't break his spirit, he was going to break his bones. Thomas More was one of those men taken out to Tower Hill and was publicly beheaded in 1535. Now, he was held in the lower chamber of the bell tower, and his good friend John Fisher, the Bishop of Rochester, he was held in the upper chamber for the very same reasons. He too had been taken out to Tower Hill and had been publicly beheaded. 400 years after those men were executed, they were both made saints by the Roman Catholic Church, and both are still buried in the Chapel Royal here in the Tower of London. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take one step closer to that chapel. Let's go round to Traitor's Gate, and I'll tell you the next exciting episode of the Tower Story. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are now stood in front of Traitor's Gate. This must be one of the most infamous gates in the world. It was built as part of the outer defence wall by King Edward I, and its original name is the Watergate. Normally Alyssa's a bit of a giggle. And Lacey from Washington earlier on, and she started laughing her head off. Yeah, we can't laugh, look at the state of our pulpit. Now, also up these stairs came the famous navigator and explorer, Sir Walter Raleigh. Now, he was brought to the tower to spend 13 years of his life. He was imprisoned by King James I because he was part of a plot for the Lady Arbella Stuart on the throne of England. Now, when he was here, most of his time was actually spent in that tower behind you. That is the Bloody Tower. Originally called the Garden Tower because its windows looked out onto the lieutenant's gardens. But its name was changed to the Tower of Blood because of the dark, evil deeds committed behind those walls. The darkest of all, the alleged murder of the 2 boy princes. That was the uncrowned King Edward V, his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, 12 and 9 years old. Now, the death of their father, King Edward IV, the young Prince Edward being only 12, was considered just too young to run the country. So they were given a guardian and advisor to look after them, and that was their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. But Uncle Richard, he did get a bit of a liking for the power. What he did was he brought the princes here to the tower on the pretense of safekeeping in preparation for the young king's coronation. But once they were safely tucked inside these walls, he actually declared them illegitimate. So with them moved to the side, that left Uncle Richard first in line to the throne. And he was in fact crowned King Richard III. Now, shortly afterwards, the boys disappeared. They were never seen alive again. And Richard, well, only lasted another 2 years, died fighting at the Battle of Bosworth Field. But shortly after that battle, some men came forward and they admitted to having smothered the boys up there in the bedroom. They said they threw the bodies down the stairs and covered them with stones. But the remains of 2 small boys were found under some stairs leading into the White Tower. But that was 191 years after the princes had disappeared. The king of that day, King Charles II, He was convinced it was the remains of those two boys, and he ordered that they be buried at a place called Innocents Corner in Westminster, which was named in their honour, and that is where they lie to this day. Of course, the remains of Richard III were found in recent years in Leicester. He's now been interred in Leicester Cathedral. He was actually our last monarch to die in battle. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the facts as we know them today, but we have to say that we're not sure who was responsible for the demise of the two boy princes. But we're going to go underneath the bloody tower, ladies and gents, but just before we go, I'd like to point out a portcullis, or Norman drop gate, the one with the spikes on it there. Now, it's well over 700 years old, it weighs about 2.5 tonnes. It's still in perfect working order today. You can see the workings inside the bloody tower, and it's actually one of two surviving portcullis we have here. The other one's in the Byward Tower archway down there, but you can't see that one as clearly. So ladies and gents, if I can ask you kindly again, just make a little gap to let me through. I'm now going to lead you all into the inner ward of the Tower of London.
I'm just going to say this, of this shot, the sky is so beautiful right now.
Yeah, it is crystal clear.
It really is. Like, we could not have picked a better weekend to come down and do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now stood at the heart of the Tower of London. Everything I have shown you so far, the moat, the two defensive walls, they were all built to protect that building. That is William the Conqueror's original fortress, the White Tower. Building commenced in 1078 and took approximately 20 years to complete. The tower stands 92 feet high and the walls tapered in thickness about 15 feet at the base to 11 feet at the top. And each corner has a turret. 3 of them are square, but you can see the one here on the northeast corner, it is round. That is the Flamstead Tower, and that is where the Royal Observatory used to be established before it moved to Greenwich in 1675, but it still stands today. On top of the turrets, a gold crown sits atop of a weather vane, and that displays the royal standard. Now that denotes that the Tower of London is still a royal palace. Although this is no longer a royal residence, it did serve as such for its first 600 years. Now originally the royal apartments were on the top floor of the White Tower. The floor below that would have held accommodation for knights and ladies, a banqueting hall, a council chamber, and the Chapel Royal of St. John the Evangelist. Oh, why is it so loud? How did it get that high? I can't do that anymore. Can anybody do that? Can you do it? Oh my gosh, don't do it. The floor below that would have been for servants and retainers, but like every good fortress, there is that other floor. The dungeons and the torture chambers. But we also kept wine and provisions down there because it's cold and dark. Now the torture chambers, ladies and gents, they were originally down there. Now we do have an exhibition on instruments of torture, but unfortunately it's closed. It has been closed for a week. We broke one of the machines, so so it's being fixed. Oh, it's a step collapse. That's all. What is it? Right, to get into, so it's down the stairs. But to get into the White Tower, if you go to the tree, turn right down the hill, and then right at the front, and go up the wooden staircase. In there today we have the Royal Armouries exhibitions, fit for a king, the powerhouse, the line of kings, and hands-on history. Lots to see inside the White Tower. Lots and lots. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just one more point here before we go on to Tower Green. The long building behind you is the Waterloo Block. It is the home of the crown jewels and the royal regalia. Now, the entrance to see those is directly underneath that gold clock. There is a little bit of a queue. Believe it or not, in that queuing system, it only takes, right from the very end, it only takes 15 minutes to get in to see the crown jewel. So don't think that that queue is an hour long, okay? Please do not think so. If you're going to be here until the end of the day or near the end of the day, you should quieten right down anyway, so maybe do it last. But now we're stood beside Tower Green, and that is the village green of the Tower of London. Just behind me in the middle, there stands a round glass and steel memorial, and that marks the site of the private scaffold, where executions took place very much as the word suggests. It was in private. It was very different from the public display outside on Tower Hill. Now, the first person to lose their head here was Queen Anne Boleyn. She was held in the Tower for the last 18 days of her life in 1536, tried, condemned to death on charges of adultery, incest, witchcraft, various other crimes, one of which was laughing at the king's clothes. Now it was said that she was frightened of the block and axe, so she requested to be executed in the French manner, not using a guillotine but using a very long double-edged sword. The executioner was summoned from France for that very occasion, and as Queen Anne Boleyn knelt upright to say her final prayer, the executioner stood behind her and with one stroke took off her head. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the demise of probably our most infamous queen. 5 years later, it was the turn of a lady called Margaret Pole, the Countess of Salisbury, an elderly aunt of Henry VIII, who was accused of no crime and given no trial. So why was she executed? Well, she had a son who was a cardinal, Reginald Pole, and he was travelling all over Europe preaching against King Henry VIII because of the break from the Catholic Church. Now Henry, he would have dearly loved to get his hands on the cardinal, but because he couldn't, he took the mother instead. The following year was 1542 and the axe fell twice on the same day. The victims, Queen Catherine Howard, the fifth wife of Henry VIII, and her lady-in-waiting, Jane Boleyn, the Viscountess of Rochford. Now Catherine's crime was to associate herself with lots of other men, and that was treason against the king. And the lady-in-waiting, because she knew about the affairs, but had kept them secret from Henry, she was to suffer the exact same fate. 12 years were then to pass. It was 1554. The axe fell on the pretty young neck of Lady Jane Grey, the uncrowned Queen of England of only 9 days. And she was a pawn caught up in a struggle for power. She was imprisoned at number 5 Tower Green, the left-hand blue door on the west wall, formerly the home of the gentleman jailer. Now, the rooms upstairs where she was held prisoner, she could have looked out of the window to see her young husband, Lord Guildford Dudley, being taken from the Beauchamp Tower, where he had been held prisoner, marched off to Tower Hill for public execution. And shortly afterwards, she saw his headless body be brought back to the tower for burial in this chapel. And if that wasn't traumatic enough, for a young 16-year-old lady, from that window she could see and hear the building of the scaffold for her own execution later that same day. Now the last person to be beheaded here in 1601 was a man called Robert Devereux. He was the second Earl of Essex. He was also a great favourite of Queen Elizabeth I. But in her later years, he plotted against her. Tried, found guilty of treason, he was sentenced to death. But he was a very popular man, and they couldn't take the chance of executing him outside on the hill in case his supporters would come and whisk him away. So that was why he was beheaded inside the tower grounds. So 6 official beheadings to take place inside this tower, but those 6 and all those beheaded outside on the hill were taken to this chapel to be buried. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the chapel. And a couple of points before we go, if I may. Could I please remind you that this is still a Christian place of worship? So gentlemen, if your religion permits, please can you remove any headgear before you go through the door. Now at the door, there is a small step. It's about that size, okay? It is there when you go into the chapel, still there when you come back out. But the reason I mention it, it is said to be haunted. It has a tendency to jump up and trip up the unwary amongst you, so please do be careful of that step, ladies and gentlemen. Now, due to reasons of Crown copyright and because this is a private chapel, it belongs to Her Majesty the Queen, ladies and gentlemen, there is to be no photography or recording inside the chapel.
Look, even that female horse is joining in. Or is that too childish?
That's too childish.
Yeah, but you still giggles. And I get it, it's mostly heat exhaustion. Oh dear God, that horse is cross-eyed. Ooh, let's go into the toilet.
It's just a poop shoot.
Yes.
I was kind of expecting more of a sheared rock, rather than it being sort of a sloped
Yeah. I wasn't
bit of
expecting-
rock.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm gonna go for Charles. Sweet. And once you get yours, I'm just gonna show it off. Just because, yeah, Tarrelin on one side, and Charles's helmet on the other. So you've got
Tower
Tower London on one side. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It is.
So I do love little collectible coin things, just because they're kind of neat. Ooh, penny.
That's actually a really nice deal.
Yeah, it's unexpected. Now, no one's going to be able to hear a thing because there's a fan right next to it, but you know, old drainage trough, which is now full of coins. And now, stairs. Again. 30 minutes from where we are, from back there rather. It's currently 25 past 2.
Let's see what happens.
And yeah, let's see what happens. Not going to bother recording because it'll just be boring to watch us slowly shuffle around. But yeah, see you in somewhere between 30 and 0 minutes. That's kind of cool that as you go through this queue, there's just little bits of history saying about people trying to steal the crown jewels.
Yeah.
It's like I said there, 1815, woman broke in, grabbed them, bent the arches apart. They had to be fixed for £10 and 10 shillings, which was 10 months' wages for one of the royal soldiers at that point in time. It'd be a couple of million probably by now.
At least a 30,000.
Yeah, so somewhere in the range of.
When was it? 1815.
1815, yeah.
£806.30.
Oh, so we were both way out.
Way out.
You said a fair few couple of grand. I made the thing that I knew was I went with completely over the top millions.
Yeah.
But still, so she bent it and it cost 800 quid to fix. That's not that bad actually.
Huh.
What?
I wonder why 62.
Because that's how many years they thought she'd reign. She has now smashed that record.
No, because it's a 21 gun salute for any major state occasion. Queen's birthday, Philip's birthday, things like that. Right. So it's normally a 21 gun salute.
Right.
So we're just talking the tower. So it's just done at the tower.
Yep.
So it's a standard 21 gun salute, plus a further 21 because it's located within the city of London.
So that brings us up to 42.
Plus an extra 20 because the tower is a royal house.
Huh. Right, so I would count this as being at the front of the queue. We've got the sign right in front of us.
Yep, and
It's now 14:33, which means we've spent about 9 minutes to get from the 30-minute mark.
she said that it moved.
I'm saying that guard did say it'd be 15 from the end, but yeah, due to the lack of filming and photography, I'm just and say a slightly closer look on the sign and like so. Crown jewels.
They're nice. They're fun.
They are very cool, and I do love the fact that it's all of the crown jewels that they still have.
Yeah, basically.
Including Queen Victoria's teensy tiny crown.
Yeah, it's so cute.
And a load of stuff from the Queen
They still
mothers.
have because Oliver Cromwell.
Destroyed a lot of the old ones, yeah.
Yeah, because Oliver Cromwell was an ass.
Yes, Oliver Cromwell was an ass, but then we got Charles II.
Who was the party king?
He was the party king, and you know, horrible histories did a great number on him. But yeah, and there was that little comment at the end saying that the current sort of Queen's crown,
the imperial
crown,
II,
yes,
is worn at the end of the coronation and at the opening of the state opening of Parliament every year. It's like, yeah, except one.
I've now cooled down.
Yes.
Time to go on to the next bit.
I was going to go to the shop.
Well, yeah, that's the next bit for us. And then probably after that, head off outside the tower. There's not that much left here.
No.
We're pretty much done with the Tower of London.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's been good.
It has. Let's go.
On to the next adventure. Where to next?
Well, there's something like that situation.
Cool. Don't know if we'll film anything there. Probably not.
No, it's just a lot of people
It's just
and a lot of
shopping. Because you need a new bag. So, might film it, might not. Probably not. Alright. Words.
Make sure you hit subscribe, and if you fancy it, hit that notification bell as well to make sure you don't miss out on the next adventure. Click on the left icon to be taken to a playlist that I think you'll really like, or hit the icon on the right to see our latest video. That's all for now, but we'll see you on the next adventure.